Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rundown. I will be your host today. My name is Craig DeLuz, and I'm coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
No, my name is Mike P. Waworski. I am your co-host from the East Coast. That's the co-host from the coast with the most. Here on the Rundown, 2A Views, conservative news, and Craig, it's a special day. It's the middle of the week. It's
It's the
kind of a
middle
different
of the
day.
week. Mike, welcome to. Oh, wait. Mike. Guess what day it is?
Yes,
What day is it, Mike?
It's hump day.
Hump day!
It's hump day.
Hump day!
Woo woo! That's right. It is Hump Day, Michael. How are we doing today on Hump Day?
It's pretty good. It's a pretty good hump day so far for me. I mean, we've got some stuff in the news we got to discuss, but personally, things are going well for me on this side of the country.
Most definitely, same thing here. Although my attempt to begin the weekend was somewhat thwarted by the bad news. That we're going to be talking a little bit about what took place in Texas. But been doing television and radio interviews all day, talking about the new onslaught and attack on the Second Amendment, and having to talk people off the ledge is always challenging. Well, let me clarify. I'm not talking them off the ledge. I'm talking them from trying to push the rest of us off the ledge.
Exactly right. There you go.
Anyway, folks, hey, however you are watching or however you are listening, please take a moment. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do that. Especially if you're watching us on Facebook and YouTube, make sure you hit that notification button. That way you'll be notified as soon as we go live, and you can participate in the live chat as the program is taking place. But also share. Encourage your friends. There's tons of ways to watch. There's tons of ways to listen. But what you got to do is you got to share. Let your folks know. However you are partaking, encourage your friends to do the same.
Right. There you go. Do it.
Mike,
Make
Mike,
sure
Mike, Mike.
you
What day
pass
is it,
this
Mike?
around.
Yeah, no, that was a mistake. You didn't
I
see
thought we were
that.
gonna do it again. I was like, ready. Let's get it on.
Oh, man. Well, once again, the challenges of being both in front of and behind the camera at the same time. I'm pressing buttons without looking at them. So maybe I got it. There we go. Okay, now we're ready.
I thought we were gonna do it again.
No, we're not doing it again. Thank you, Mike.
All right. So.
All right. Well, let's go into the stories. Everyone knows there was an incident that took place. Calling it an incident doesn't seem to do it justice. There was an individual who went onto an elementary school campus. We're talking like second graders to fifth graders, and killed 19 children and 2 adults, utilizing what we understand to be. They keep saying, and I don't understand this. They keep saying that he had a handgun and he may have also had a rifle, and I don't understand the distinction. I mean, I don't understand why they keep pointing the fact that he may have had a rifle. And I keep thinking, Mike, the reason why they keep saying that is because it's a way for them to go after quote unquote gun laws. Because, as I understand it, federally, you're not supposed to be able to purchase a handgun if you are under the age of 21.
Oh, you mean the bad guy broke the law? The murderer broke a little misdemeanor? Are you? But Craig, we have laws against that.
Right. Well, that's the thing is right now, I mean, that's the thing that is most frustrating about all of this is that, number one, people aren't willing to at least, I mean, I get the anger, I get the frustration, I get the outrage, right? Because these are children, right? If there's anybody who is innocent and needs to be protected, it's our kids. But the first thing that people want to do is they want to jump to do this, do that, do this, do that, do this, do that. And we don't even have all of the details or all of the information as to exactly what happened, who this kid was, and why or exactly how this happened.
Because again, we cannot let a tragedy go to waste, right? We have to pass a New York style SAFE Act overnight. We have to pass a Florida style Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Act, within the weeks following the shooting, without having a regular session of the legislature. We have to do all of these things to try and get our anti-gun agenda passed. Craig, it's horrible that 18 people, 19 people, whatever the total is. I mean, it keeps depending on which station you're watching, it's a different amount. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. But the more horrible part about it is that it was preventable, 100% preventable. Texas has tried to pass multiple times a school carry, teacher carry of weapons, teacher carry of firearms, and it's been turned down. Now they do have a college campus carry, which allows those that are 21 and over to carry a firearm outside the campus to carry on, but not teachers in regular schools and everyday schools. Craig, I'm gonna give you a little bit of stats just as a comparison because we don't know all the facts from what happened in the school here in Texas, but we do know the facts from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. We do know that 17 teachers and students were killed and another 17 were wounded. We do know that there was 129 faculty and staff members on the campus that day. We know that Florida has a 12% concealed weapons rate for its citizens, which means, if allowed, up to 15 individuals could have been legally carrying their firearm to protect themselves. But because there's this imaginary line outside schools where we expect bad guys to not do any harm, 15 people that could have been sitting in front of their children in their school behind a locked door with their own firearm could have stopped an attack. But no, we can't have guns on campus because a teacher might shoot somebody in the leg if they're late for class or other kind of bull crap that the left wants to come up with.
Well, stuff that doesn't happen, right? They keep saying stuff and they keep coming up with examples of stuff that they believe could happen, but yet the things that we see happening, the things that could have been prevented, those continue to actually happen. And yet you still have people, no, we don't want more. And here's the thing, Mike. If this kid, because what we know is he at the age he wasn't supposed to legally be able to purchase a handgun, but we know that he got one. Yeah. We know that he had one. So if people are going to commit crimes, we can or do stuff like this, we can reduce the likelihood, right? But in the end, the point of having people there on campus with a firearm is because guess what? We're our own first responders. Doesn't matter. I mean, if you have law enforcement like there on, even if you have law enforcement, unless they are there on campus, there's this thing called a response time. And they can't be everywhere. And in this particular case, there could have been someone there on campus. Like you said, I don't know exactly how many staff members there were on campus, but I'm willing to bet if you look at the carry number, there could have been a half dozen people on campus who were carrying a firearm. I've seen school districts that actually have concealed carry permit holders as a part of their active shooter response.
Yes.
But
yes,
but now in California, they've been removed. Yeah. So it's duck and cover, hide under your desk until hopefully the police show up.
Yeah. I forget what state it was, Craig. Remember they came up with the plan of let's have canned goods in the back. It'll look like it's there for donating to the poor, but we'll actually use them as weapons to throw against mass shooters.
Right. Because teachers would never throw canned goods at students.
yeah, that's an actual thing. Again, Craig, listen, this ban on allowing teachers, and folks, nobody's saying we're arming teachers. There's no teachers lining up in the hallway and getting their weapons in the morning and carrying them throughout the day. Right. This is people that if they're qualified or if they choose to carry a firearm outside the school legally, they should be allowed to carry it inside the school legally. This is akin to, Craig, let's say you're a parent and you have a minivan, and I know you have a minivan, Craig, right? And you have children, right? And you're driving down the road and you're using the seatbelts and the child seat for your grandchild. And all of a sudden there's a sign on the road that says no seatbelts and child seats allowed next 20 miles on the highway.
Right.
This is what that is. There are safety equipment that you have available to you, and you are being told you are not allowed to use them here because we don't like them. They're scary.
Well, exactly. Because we're scared of people getting injured in accidents. That's the worst part. We don't want people getting injured in accidents by seatbelts or by car seats.
Right. We don't want you to wear seatbelts because you could get a burn on your neck if you get in a wreck.
Exactly. And then there's a situation where someone actually gets into an accident and everybody in the car is either injured or killed. And why? Yep. Because, well, we were scared of the, burn from the seatbelt.
Because for this one weird spot, we decided we're going to ban the use of safety equipment.
Right. And by the way, let's include brakes in there. We're not gonna let you use brakes in this section
No
of the
brakes.
highway.
No brakes. Next 5 miles downhill.
Right. Well, and Mike, and sure enough, we're always told not to politicize these events, but sure enough, you have the usual suspects with their anti-gun rants, and I'm sure you'll recognize this guy.
There have been more mass shootings than days in the year. Our kids are living in fear every single time they set foot in a classroom because they think they're going to be next. What are we doing? Why do you spend all this time running for the United States Senate? Why do you go through all the hassle of getting this job, of putting yourself in a position of authority, if your answer is that as this slaughter increases, as our kids run for their lives, we do nothing? What are we doing? Why are you?
So
first off, Craig, if you run for Senate and it's only because you want that job, or if you run for Senate because you want a position of authority, I don't want you anywhere near being my frickin' senator. Okay?
Oh, exactly. But here's the thing. Let's break down a couple of things that he said. Number one, more mass shootings than there were days. Well, let's talk about exactly what those shootings are. Number one, when you talk about mass shootings, people think of like what happened yesterday. But most mass shootings are, once again, 4 or more individuals being shot, right? In most cases, still, it's drug or gang related. All right? So we're not talking about people targeting schools. We're talking about drug or gang related. So I don't see you doing, Mr. Murphy, I don't see you doing anything to try and deal with the drug epidemic that is taking place in this country and the violence that is tied to it. I see you standing in the way of laws that would go after people who participate in gang activity, right? You don't care anything about those things. When they talk about children, right? They talk about the slaughter of children. Yes, yesterday was specifically, these were children who were targeted. But in most of these cases, we're talking males aged 16 to 24. Right? Once again, gang and drug related. If you want to go after, core issues, if you want to go after, core causes or root causes, then why are we not putting people in jail who are committing these crimes and keeping them in jail? People who we know are likely to commit these crimes again.
Yeah, but we don't, right?
Right.
That's the problem with this is that it's all emotional. There's no, let's steal their words back from them, Craig. Common sense, huh?
Right.
How about common sense? How about we take down that frickin' sign and we actually put some armed people in here, or allow people that choose to be armed in here. But it's not what we're going to get. We're going to continue to get the knee-jerk reaction. This is going to be this butt clown standing on the floor here. My children fear him. My children fear a man who does not know how to protect his own family. That's what my children fear.
Exactly. I'm like, why are you not allowing people to protect themselves? If people are in fear, it's because they are, well, first of all, what are you telling your kids that has them operating and going to school in fear every day? How are you torturing your child? Because that's what's going on here. Number two, you've got guys like this guy right here who are doing the exact same thing. Check it out.
When are we going to do something? I'm tired. I'm so tired of getting up here and offering condolences to the devastated families that are out there. I'm so tired of I'm tired of the moments of silence. Enough. There's 50 senators right now who refuse to vote on H.R. 8, which is a background check rule that the House passed a couple of years ago. It's been sitting there for 2 years. And there's a reason they won't vote on it, to hold on to power. So I ask you, Mitch McConnell, I ask all of you senators who refuse to do anything about the violence and school shootings and supermarket shootings, I ask you, are you going to put your own desire for power ahead of the lives of our children and our elderly and our churchgoers? Because that's what it looks like.
All right. By the way, guys like Steve Kerr are the reason why I don't watch the NBA anymore. Because you know what? No, I don't care what you have to say. Because
Yep.
you operate and you talk, they do talk out of complete ignorance. Because guess what?
Yep.
Once again, there's background checks, right? This guy, I don't know how, right now we do not know how he obtained his firearms. But the fact is that that bill that he's talking about would not have kept this guy from getting guns. I'm willing to bet the store on it.
Yeah. Yeah, bet the farm. Don't bet the store. Bet it all, Craig.
There you go. I'll bet it all. I'll bet the whole farm on it.
Bet it all.
You're tired of
Kurt
getting up
needs to
there.
go back to
No one asked
basketball.
you to offer condolences. No one asked you to get up there and maybe someone in the media did. But here's the thing: you are an NBA player and now you are an NBA coach, who, by the way, is leading a team that was built by someone else. But that's a whole nother story. I don't care what you have to say about my rights. It's not about to say that the only reason they're doing it is because they want to maintain power. No, they recognize something that you don't recognize, Mr. Kerr, and that is that we have a fundamental right to keep and bear arms, and that by disarming us, all you do is make potential victims out of us. And I'm not having it.
Hey, Steve Kerr, remember who he played for?
San Antonio Spurs and the Chicago Bulls.
Played for the Bulls, right? He was there during was it 3 of the 6
Yep.
championships?
Yes.
Just in case Steve Kerr is curious about his old hometown. Shot and killed so far this month in Chicago, 42. Total shot, 269. Steve Kerr does not seem to care for, I don't know, inner city youth at all. It's only white children in Texas is the problem. Where's his guidance here? Where's his direction?
I don't know, but it's if you want. Let's get to the next thing, and that's talking about options. So, yesterday the news and the media was complete with people talking about, oh, gee, we should do this, we should do that, we should do this. So let's talk about some of the options that we have in terms of going forward. How do we do our best to try and prevent situations like this? Well, I think one of the best things that I heard yesterday had to deal with. It's great to talk about, it's great to talk about making schools, dealing with the egress, dealing with making it harder to either get on campus, in particular get on campus with a firearm and get on campus unnoticed. There was a lot of talk about that, but really what they talked about was some of the people stuff. One of the best things I heard was campus carry, allowing staff members who want to carry a firearm on campus, who want to go through training and whatnot, who want to be a part of an active shooter response, allowing them to do so. And our friends over at Faster, that's all they do is train school staff how to do that, right?
That's it.
Right.
That's it. Listen, there's so many different ways we could do this. It is with the training, it's with the people. Remember, you got to divide this into 2, Craig, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've got individuals and then you've got infrastructure. Okay.
Right.
If you allow the individuals to receive the training, and first off, you and I, we know exactly how much training is required in the Second Amendment. So my belief is if a teacher says, I'm going to take my personally owned firearm and carry it safely and securely and responsibly on campus, good enough for me. Because guess what? That's better than not having it there. But I do like the training. I love the idea of the training. And so do the teachers. They don't want to go and carry it just straight away. They want to get the training. They want to be able to be the most effective protector of the children they can. The second side of this is the infrastructure. Craig, the last time that there was a fire death in a public school in the United States was in 1954. All right, 54. So how long ago is that, right? 65 years ago. And what they did is they put in infrastructure. They put in extra protection in the walls, right? They made them 3-layer walls. They put the heavy doors in. They put the sprinkler systems in. They put the fire hoses in. So we put infrastructure in to protect. We could be doing the same right now for the schools. Put these doors in, get rid of the little glass door with the wire in it, like that you could look through. Make it the ballistic door. Make the doors so when they close, they automatically lock people out. I don't have to go over there and get a key. Make sure the doors on the exterior of the building are the same way. Once they close, they're out. Make sure that you have the PA system that works throughout. There's easy infrastructure items that can be done here. That guy could be walking around the hallway with a bazooka. If your kid's locked in your classroom, you know what? They might as well just continue doing reading, writing, and arithmetic because they ain't getting in.
Well, exactly. That is all possible. The other thing that was talked about was, and this is less just about schools, but doing a lot more to train people to, had more to do with mental health and to train people to better see and identify potential threats. I mean, you take this kid, for example, we know this guy had already posted stuff on social media, basically saying that he was going to, basically random pictures of guns, and random pictures of guns in and of themselves is not a weird thing, because people take pictures of themselves with their firearms all the time. But this was the guy who was tagging people who he barely knew, and when he was approached and talked to about it, he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna." What was the exact phrase? Let me find it right here. So he says, I said, "You gonna asking people, are you gonna repost my gun pics, right?" And then when he was confronted, he said, "I'm gonna air out." Now, I'm just gonna be honest. If I see someone who I don't really know, sending me or tagging me and them with pictures with their gun, I'm gonna report this to the authorities, right? I mean, part of the thing we have to do is we have to be willing, Mike, to point out that we have to be willing to say, yeah, dude's kind of, I mean, I get it. We don't want to all be Karens, but we also, though, do need to be, when we recognize something, that whole see something, say something, we need to be willing to do that. We need to be willing to say something. And I'm sorry that some people are going to get offended. We need to be careful about profiling people based on race or religion. But when you have somebody who is doing something that raises alarms, we need to at the very least be willing to question it and say, hey, you okay?
I'm going to bet, Craig, that once this gets delved into a little bit further, that they're going to find that this stuff was reported. Because the one thing that you and I know is that looking at all of the previous ones, the indicators were there. The sheriff's offices, the FBI's, and the people were notified, and nothing was done.
You're probably right. You are probably right.
I'm willing to bet that once we get into this a little more, maybe there was the one or two that didn't report it and didn't recognize it. I get that, but I'm going to again default to, listen. There's such an apprehension to enforce juvenile crimes in this country right now.
Right.
I think that's the stigma we have to get over. If it's a 17-year-old, he's 18, so I'm going to bet a lot of this occurred when he was 16, 17, and it got ignored, and, he's just a juvenile. Well, listen, that's exactly what happened in Newtown. That's exactly what happened in Parkland, Florida. That's probably going to be the same thing again that happened here. They decided not to do anything for federal funding reasons or because, prosecuting a juvenile is a waste of time.
Well, exactly. Mike, I could not agree with you more, and I didn't even think about that. You're right. We're probably going to find out that somebody did report this, and they did absolutely nothing about it. We, like I said, we know, for example, in the Buffalo shooter, we know that not even a year before he said he was going to shoot up his high school graduation, nothing was done.
Yeah, and
in the case of Parkland, we know that kid was reported to the FBI and to the local county sheriff multiple times. Was actually nice. Was not even supposed to be on campus, and once again, they did.
Right. Let me be clear. I don't want it to look like we're throwing law enforcement under the bus. Now, in Parkland, I'm throwing Sheriff Scott Israel under the bus. We know that he purposely ignored 27 complaints of this so he could keep some federal funding money. But we also know up in Newtown, the hands were tied. We know that up there, no matter what they complained against him, there was no juvenile crime that they could have, charged him for. He'd have been out the next day. So even if law enforcement is empowered to do so, the justice system doesn't let them, charge or detain these individuals. So
well, and a lot of this has to do with this whole we're trying to. They're trying to pad stats because they want to say that youth crime is going down. So what they're doing is they're discouraging youth from being charged. And as a result,
exactly right. That's what happened in Broward County.
They're learning the exact opposite lesson that they should be learning. When you're a child is the time to learn that bad choices have consequences. Because when you become an adult, those consequences grow exponentially, right?
Yes.
So teach them when they're young so that hopefully when they get old, they will understand that, you don't do this stuff because you're going to have to pay for it.
Yep. Absolutely right. But that's not the way liberals see it, right?
No, it is definitely not the way that liberals see it. All right, let's get away from that particular topic, but we're still going to talk a little bit about kids, or rather the lack thereof. I'm sure that it is of absolutely no surprise that what city is actually the city with the fewest children in the entire country. When I say the fewest, I'm as a percentage of their population. And the winner is, can I get a drum roll, Mike? San Francisco continues to be the most childless city in the United States. Now, Mike, what's funny, it says there was more dogs than kids stereotype.
Right.
Yes. So in the city of San Francisco, it's actually down. They say here it's like more than 20% of the population is under 18. That is just crazy. I mean, that is not a sustainable population at all. I mean,
Well, yeah, and Craig, listen, I'm not trying to be rude or even funny about this one. And if I get the words wrong here, help me, save me. But we're into our third generation now. If you have generations every 20 to 25 years, right? Every third generation of San Francisco being a proud, homosexual city, right? And if that is the majority of their people that live there, people that don't reproduce the way heterosexuals do, doesn't that mean you're not going to have children?
well, so here's the thing that I'll tell you. Number one is it probably does have something to do with that, but it also has a lot to do with how expensive San Francisco is.
Oh, okay, okay, all right.
It
all right.
is. I
Think
mean,
about that,
you can pay. I was reading a story about someone who left San Francisco because they were paying $5,000 a month in rent.
Yeek.
Yeah,
Yikes.
their rent had gone from $2,800 a month like 3 years ago. They was now up around $5,000 a month. The problem is that it's a very difficult place to have and raise children because it's just so expensive. Actually, here,
Yeah,
if you look
sounds like it.
further in the story, it's actually now as low as 13%. 13% of the city in San Francisco, basically almost 1 in 10 are actually under the age of 18 now. They're in San Francisco.
Okay, now, and I did read the story, and tell me if you think it's a little hypocritical. Now, these are all great stats, Craig, but these are the same kind of stats that could apply to, Los Angeles. Okay, they completely ignore the homosexual issue in this part of the
Oh yeah.
in this article. Yeah,
Well, because here's the thing,
like that had nothing to do with having kids.
well, their whole thing is, and this is the way they put it. They're like, well, homosexuals can have children because they can adopt, they can artificially inseminate, but the problem is that two people coming together of the same sex cannot naturally, in and of themselves, have children. It's not
correct.
a natural outcropping of that coupling. It just isn't.
Yeah.
And so there is no, so say, for example, you don't have many oopses, if you know what I'm saying. You just don't have that.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. Listen, I don't know what the percentage is of the heterosexual community that has to seek alternative childbearing techniques, as far as, in vitro or adoption or anything like that. I'm sure on the homosexual side, it's probably higher because, like you said, the natural oops or the natural planning is not there at all.
Right. And there's, by the way, to all of those methods, there's a cost. Right?
Oh, absolutely. And if you're paying $5,000 a month to live in a poop-filled street, you maybe you don't want to do it anyway.
Well, exactly. So that's so it all figures to less children. And folks, that's the thing is we need to understand that lifestyle choices or cultural choices have consequences. And one of those consequences, the consequence of the liberal left wing, do whatever you want, do what you feel lifestyle is less children.
Yeah. That's it. That's it.
And as a result, you wind up with cities with, and by the way, a society with less children, if each generation, if a generation, they say that you have negative population growth if you have less than 2.5 people having 2.5 children per family, right? If you're having less than 2.5 children on average, you are a declining population. And that's what we have going on here now in the United States, is we have a declining population. The only reason why our population grows is because we have people coming in from other countries. That's really it.
We'll always have that. We'll always have
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
But that then also turns to or results in a change in our culture. The more people who immigrate here who don't assimilate to American culture, you wind up changing that culture. And at a certain
That's
point,
right.
huh? I'm sorry. Am I what?
I was just saying, and right, and listen, that's the current thought process, right? Rather than having the melting pot where they assimilate and all contribute a little bit to it, it's that you get to stay the same. Now, listen, and I'll call garbage on it too. I go back home to New York all the time. I go to Chinatown, I go to Little Italy, and you get to experience those cultures. But as soon as you walk, to the end of Mott Street, guess what? You can't tell where you are from one side of the town to the other. It's just, like we talked about earlier in the week. For some reason, certain cultures like to hang out together because they have that common background. That doesn't mean we're not going to assimilate within the next generation.
Yeah, well, exactly. But those core values are the things that we need to make sure to hold on to. And family has got to be a part of that core value. It's got to be about, we have to, as a culture. Now, I'm not saying that means that every couple needs to have kids, or every person needs to have kids, or every person has to have a bunch of kids, or, be fruitful and multiply. But I'm saying as a culture, we have to value our children, and we have to value family. And at the heart of society is the family, mother, father, children. Just saying.
Yes.
That is the heart of every successful society that we have. That is what's the building block. And you don't have those building blocks, well, then you don't have a society in the long run.
That's right. That's right.
And that takes us to our parting shot, or one of our. Well, hold on, we got a couple of parting shots here. So this first one, and I am not one who necessarily always goes for conspiracy theories, but I have to admit, Mike, that this one has got me thinking, because have you guys ever noticed every single time things are going on, right? Every single time things are going bad for the Democrats, they always seems to be something that happens, right? There's some weird thing that goes on. A great example is, Democrats were going to lose to Donald Trump, and all of a sudden we had COVID. Right now we're looking at how bad the economy is and how bad Joe Biden is doing, and then boom, now we have multiple mass shootings within a few months of each other, mass casualty events involving firearms. It just seems weird how it happens like that, and you've always brought it up, and I've always kind of poo-pooed it, but now I think I'm giving into the conspiracy theory. There always seems to be an active shooter in the news. Oh wait, I'm sorry. You can't see the top of the meme. Let me fix it. Let me fix it for you.
Yeah, and Craig, this is what gets me is like, and you'll see the stages, right? Like the last one was a mass shooting in Buffalo. And you're like, oh my God, that's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. 10 people were killed there, right? But they were black people. So did that get enough national attention? No, you know what? We better switch to kids on the next one.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying there's anybody out there planning into government planning and doing this. Although, listen, let me make sure you understand this, folks. Your government is in the business of killing people. Okay. And if you don't think so, let me talk to you about some Syrians, some Iraqis, some Afghanis, some Vietnamese, some Somalis. We're in the business of killing people is what we do when we want to get our way. And we could talk about some Navy sailors, as well, U.S. Navy sailors that lost their lives due to our government's planning and treachery. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. It just happens too often.
Yeah.
For I get it. It's probably a coincidence. I get that it is, but
another coincidence.
Another coincidence. There you go. I will leave it at that.
Yeah.
It's another coincidence.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, I guess the reason why they use active shooters is because, well, the most recent pandemic that they're trying to push doesn't appear to be catching on in terms of people becoming scared of it. But just so you know, and Mike we want to make sure that we let you folks know early. I know I'm early, but I'm also against the monkeypox jab.
Ain't getting no monkeypox jab. Ain't getting one. Not going to happen. Wouldn't be prudent.
Did you, by the way, did you hear that? Did you hear that they're actually like one of the things that they're doing is they're putting warnings out, in particular for people not to engage in orgies or homosexual sex because that increases the likelihood of spread. Have you heard this?
Well, there's a lot of similarities between just what I've seen so far of monkeypox origins and the origin and spread of the AIDS virus. And I'm just saying, keep your junk in your pants around monkeys. That's all I'm saying.
Well, the point here is this: it is close contact and the swapping of fluids that increase the likelihood, or that basically that's how it spread, right? It's not, you can't go in, that's not from going into a room where someone else may have had it. That's not how you get monkeypox.
Right,
but
right.
engaging in extracurricular sexual activities, that's a good way to get monkeypox. And I think that's all they're saying. I didn't know why they felt the need to point out specifically, homosexual sex, but I will just say, you know what? If you're not out there flinging it around, if you're keeping it, where it's supposed to be, then you don't have to worry about getting monkeypox.
There you go. So many banana references I can make right now. I'm not going to.
I know. Okay, Mike, it's about that time. How about a shout out to our sponsors?
Let's say hello to our good friends at uscombatgear.com, the California Republican Assembly, Grid Defense, and of course, Guerrilla Manufacturing.
All right, folks. Well, hey, we're going to have to call it a day. We thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program and encouraging friends to do the same. With that, we're going to get out of here, and we'll see you tomorrow on Thirsty Thursday.
Woo-hoo!